It was an ordinary day, just like any other, the kind of day where nothing extraordinary was supposed to happen. You're walking, maybe a little too fast, your mind elsewhere. The sky is clear, the air warm, and your thoughts are far away, focused on what's next, on who you need to impress, or perhaps on that looming meeting you've been dreading. And then, it happens. You didn't see it coming. No one ever does. A crack in the sidewalk, a stray stone, or maybe your own shoelace. Whatever the culprit, you're suddenly airborne. For a split second, you're weightless, helpless, your heart in your throat as you realize you're going down. And then, bam, you hit the ground. You've tripped, your feet betraying you, right there in the middle of the street. But don't worry, you're fine. Sure, maybe you've bruised your ego a bit, but nothing's broken. You stand up, brush yourself off, and pretend like it didn't happen. The people around you, they might have laughed. Maybe they didn't even notice. In a few minutes, neither will you. A stumble. An awkward, embarrassing little moment. But no harm done, the world keeps spinning. You keep moving. There's something comforting about that, isn't there? A physical fall, it's temporary. No one's going to hold it against you. You can laugh about it later, tell the story at a party, and everyone will chuckle. Oh, you tripped? No big deal. The moment passes. The bruise fades, and life continues, just as it always does. A stumble with your feet is so insignificant. But then there are the trips you don't see coming, the ones that aren't about feet or sidewalks or shoelaces, the kind of trip where it's not your body that fails you, but your words. You're in a conversation, maybe heated, maybe casual. It's all fine, until it isn't. Your tongue slips. You don't even realize it at first. A word, a phrase, it escapes before your brain can stop it. And in that split second, everything changes. You see it in their eyes first. That flicker of hurt, confusion, maybe anger. You hear it in the sudden silence that follows, that heavy pause where the air seems to thicken around you. You've tripped. But this time, it's not your feet. This time, it's your tongue. But hey, what's the big deal, right? It was just a word, just a sentence. No one really gets hurt by words. After all, sticks and stones. Isn't that what they say? You didn't mean to insult them, didn't mean to cross that line. But here you are, staring into the aftermath of a simple slip of the tongue. And unlike that little stumble on the sidewalk, this one doesn't brush off so easily. The thing is, when your feet betray you, the damage is visible. A scrape here, a bruise there. Nothing you can't handle. But when your tongue betrays you, the damage is silent. You won't see it immediately, but it's there. It's in the way they look at you differently now, the way their smile falters just for a second. It's in the way they hesitate, unsure if they can trust you like they did before. You wish you could take it back, rewind time, grab those words before they ever left your lips. But you can't. Once they're out for good. And here's the thing about words. They don't disappear. They don't fade like a bruise or a scraped knee. They stay. They linger in the back of the mind, in the heart, long after the moment has passed. But hey, no worries. Just apologize, right? A simple "I didn't mean it" should do the trick. Everyone will forgive and forget. Except they don't, do they? Not really. Sure, they might say it's okay. They might smile and pretend like it didn't hurt. But deep down, they'll remember. They'll carry those words with them, replaying them in their mind. Because that's the thing about words. They're sticky, they cling, and they don't let go. There's a moment right after your tongue trips, where everything feels surreal. You try to backpedal, try to smooth things over, but it's like trying to stop a car skidding on ice. The damage has already been done. The words are out there, and there's no reeling them back in. And as you stand there watching the impact unfold, you realize this isn't something you can just walk away from. It's funny, in a tragic sort of way. We're so careful with our steps, with how we walk, with where we place our feet. But when it comes to our words, we're careless. We speak without thinking, let our tongues run wild. and then act surprised when everything comes crashing down. We trip over our tongues more often than we trip over our feet, and yet we never seem to learn. There's no scar to show for it, no visible wound, but the pain is there. It's in the awkward silences, in the strained relationships, in the trust that's been shattered. A simple misstep of the tongue, and suddenly, everything's different. And just like that, you've fallen in a way that leaves a mark no one else can see, but you can feel it every time you see them, every time you remember. It's strange, isn't it? How words, these little vibrations in the air, can carry so much weight. You trip with your feet and you fall, but you get back up. The pain is fleeting, the embarrassment temporary. But words leave deeper wounds, wounds that don't heal as easily. Maybe that's why people say, better trip with your feet rather than your tongue. Because when you trip with your feet, you only bruise yourself. But when you trip with your tongue, you bruise everyone around you. And those bruises, they take a lot longer to heal, if they ever heal at all. We don't think about it often, do we? How the things we say can shape the world around us. How a careless word, a thoughtless comment, can unravel something that took years to build. But we should. We really should. Because the cost of tripping with your tongue is far greater than any stumble with your feet. The pain of a fall fades, but the pain of a word, that stays. So here's the truth. You're going to trip. We all do. But the choice is yours. Would you rather trip with your feet, stumble and get back up? Or would you rather trip with your tongue, say something you can never take back, and watch as everything crumbles around you? Of course, words are just words, right? No big deal. But the next time you feel your tongue about to slip, think about it. Wouldn't it be better to take a literal fall, to stumble over your feet, than to let your words cause a damage you might never be able to repair? Because some trips, the ones we make with our tongues, they're the kind of falls we never recover from. Better to trip with your feet than to fall from the weight of your own words.